Hello YouTube, Dave here again, and today I got some really cool news that I just want to share with everybody. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard it, but I'm still going to go over some of it here anyway. So a while back, Paizo announced they were creating their own open gaming system. So instead of using the Wizards of the Coast OGL, they're going to be migrating things to their upcoming Orc license. And in the fall, we actually have the remastered version of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which will be sort of moving using their own license. And this is something that I'm really happy about. Years ago, I made a video, because people were asking me way back when I was early on into my channel, like when am I going to start reviewing Pathfinder and all this stuff. And at that point, I had no intentions because Pathfinder First Edition was the only system that was out. It was all very much like 3.5 D&D. I was just looking over at my First Edition collection. It's a lot like 3.5 D&D, which I was just completely and totally burnt out of. But I said in the video that I would really love to see Paizo move towards their own system, like their own license, and just to get away from relying on the open gaming license. And we're finally here. Now, with that coming, Starfinder also needs to make some changes because Starfinder is very much an OGL product. So, as it turns out, if you go to the Paizo website and just scroll down, you will see that there is a Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest coming out. So this is something that is really, really cool. They do have their Part 1 or Field Test 1, whatever they're referring to it as. So you just go onto the Paizo website, you can just click on the Starfinder header, go down to the Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest thing, click on it, and that will bring you to the Starfinder field test. So let's just make that a little bit bigger. Hopefully you guys can see this all right. And I'm going to be honest, right off the bat, first thing, I hate this logo. I really, really don't like this logo. It feels like a modern corporate logo, like it's sort of like the Pringles man, how he used to have like personality or just something to him. And this one just feels really generic. So I do hope that this is only a like a placeholder for what the final logo will be. I'm hoping that's the case because this just it's not going to stop me from getting the stuff or for supporting the 2nd edition Starfinder because I'm excited for it. But the logo does feel a little just a little bland here. Like if they need to change, and I understand changing your logo with each edition to make it easier to sort of understand or differentiate, I guess, one from the other. Like I like this blue, like the blue border. I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see what I'm actually pointing at. But I'll use the mouse here. So I like this, the way the logo looks. I think it looks really cool. It has sort of like a tech look to it, like it's something that you find on like a ship's console or something like that. But if they were going to change it, like keep the blue border, keep the shape of it, and just maybe instead of an orange Starfinder lettering. Like you could have like a silver, or you could have maybe even like the Starfinder with the little gradient thing going on. It's just I don't know. The gradients thing just really reminds me of like 90s like NHL jerseys and NBA jerseys where they had this new technology that allowed you to sort of have like the colors sort of blend together more than they had before. I don't know. It's weird, but we're not here to like nitpick that. Like I said, I don't like the logo, but I will. It won't stop me. So here we go, Starfinder 2nd Edition. Since the release of the latest edition of the fantasy-inspired Pathfinder role-playing game, the Starfinder team has received countless questions about when we'd bring some of the mechanical innovations in Pathfinder over to Starfinder. The answer is with our new edition. So this is actually really cool because Starfinder really felt uh, like a testing ground for some of the concepts that would become Pathfinder 2nd Edition, because you had your species, and then you had your theme, which was sort of like become like a background in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and then the classes had like feats and stuff that you could choose from to sort of customize them within like the framework of the class. So I thought that was like to me, it's like this. Okay, this is clearly their beginning feeling out phase for what will be Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which, is fine. It's perfectly fine. But I'm really excited to have um, what they say here next. So it says, to start off, we are working to make sure that Starfinder Second Edition is going to be 100% compatible with Pathfinder Second Edition, meaning you'll be able to use content from both games interchangeably, and that's awesome. Like I love the idea of like Starfinder characters getting sucked into like a time warp and going back to Galarian, way back in its ancient past. Uh, pre-gap, all that, and just like go through some of the adventures there, or to have something similar happen, but with Pathfinder characters transferring over into to Starfinder. So the fact that it's going to be 100% compatible is awesome, and I can't wait to mix and match like that. To me, that's just such a great idea. I'm glad that they made that decision. And it says, you'll be able to seamlessly work with your Starfinder games, whatever Pathfinder stuff, or take your future Starfinder releases and incorporate them into your Pathfinder games as long as your game master approves. Now, I'm not going to read everything here word for word, but we'll go over a few things. So we do have up here, we got field notes, and this says, howdy, new friends. My name is Captain Concierge, your resident preloaded assistance program, and I'm here to help your journey. Okay. I mean, it's hyphenated, so I guess it's meant to be there twice. To help your journey through these field tests. The Starfinder team is mighty busy right now putting all six, missing a space there, all six into. Oh, maybe that's meant to be one word. I don't know. I don't know. Into getting this new edition ready. So they've left it to me to provide a few more behind the scenes details. So this is kind of like the developer's voice kind of thing. There's a lot to go through, and it's easy to get lost in all the new tech. But don't worry, I'm here to help him. Oh, okay. He's a Skittermander, so I think that's just like one of their like inflections, like it's one of their quirks that they repeat words like that. Okay, I get it now. These tiny little sidebars I've put together will provide y'all with some insight into the design process and some thoughts I've gathered from the team. So let's dive in. Agree instead of agree. Okay, cool stuff. So field test number one. Actually, let's look at the road ahead. So it says, over the coming weeks and months, we'll be releasing new content about what's happening with the development of Starfinder's new edition. This includes regular media releases like blogs and videos, as well as future field tests providing glimpses of other aspects of the game or fun things the team just wants to share. Um, Pathfinder, let's see here. It's our plan to show you as much as we can about what's happening with the development of this new edition, and give you and your groups some fun tools you can put into your ongoing Pathfinder games along the way. After all, why have a regular wolf attacking your party when you can have a laser wolf attacking your party? I am running Pathfinder Second Edition, and I do like the idea of having a laser wolf. So we'll see here. So the release for Starfinder. Oh, this all culminates with our expected release of the Starfinder playtest rulebook in summer 2024. The release of the playtest rulebook will be the official point at which we think the components of the game will be ready for public consumption. So I'm really happy to see that. That means that they'll be similar to like the Pathfinder playtest for Second Edition, which I have a soft-covered version of, and I recently actually picked up a hardcover copy of as well, just because I was at a local store in the area that we moved to, or close to the area that we moved to, and they were selling it. It was just a little over $30 for the hardcover, and it was new. It wasn't used, or if it was used, it was taken such good care of that it may as well, be new. But yeah, if they're actually going to be doing the playtest rulebook as well, I am absolutely going to be picking that up, and I can't wait for that. So field test number one. This is all about getting some of our work in progress content into your hands, so we thought what better way than providing a level 1 to 5 snapshot of one of our classes, the Soldier. This class is the first of 6 classes that are going to be releasing in the Starfinder playtest rulebook, and it's our definitive tanking class, meaning that the soldier is going to be taking a lot of damage. Of course, just taking a lot of damage isn't a great class feature, so we also decided that soldiers are your default class for for using big guns and big weapons. Lots of big guns. Okay, so many big guns. Um, yeah, this is awesome. So we're excited to see your first reactions to our next version of Starfinder. We know it's a bit unorthodox to share this content this early, yeah, because they're releasing this a year ahead of when the playtest is coming out. Like with Pathfinder's Second Edition playtest, I don't think they really released a lot of info up until like the playtest came out. There may have been little snippets, but I don't think it was a year out. Like I think it was maybe a few months at most. So this is really cool to see. We know it's been unorthodox to share this early, but we want to make sure that you're all along from the start. And again, it's one of the things that I do really like about Paizo as a company. They do value feedback, and they do sort of like they make the playtest process just easy for people to be a part of. Because like with the new version of D&D, for example, they're just releasing like little piecemeal stuff, and like you're not really getting an overview of everything, right? It's like this month we might release information on one class or like a monster or maybe a spell or two. But yeah, with this, like I like the fact that we're getting these sort of like trickle releases, but then they're also just going to have like an actual physical book that you can own and use to play test with, and I love that. So, all right, here we have our soldier, which is quite a bit different than the soldier in the first edition. So the first edition soldier was basically just your warrior type. And so this one here looks like they're more based off of just being big damage sponges that also crank out the damaging attacks here. So let's see what we got. Now they don't have any of the species in this one. They just have the class, which it would have been kind of cool to see how they did like the Vesk as a species and then the class, but it's fine. A lot of this formatting is going to be very similar to Pathfinder Second Edition, so we do have here that soldier, you're master of area weapons, heavy armor, and taking punishment. You stand in the thick of battle and unleash devastating salvos against your foes while taking withering fire in return. By laying down a barrage of suppressing fire with powerful weapons, you set up your allies to fulfill their respective roles while encouraging enemies to focus on you. Now, this is actually kind of cool. Their key attribute is Constitution. And so I think the soldier. Now, in Starfinder First Edition, sorry, your class had a key attribute, but it didn't affect your stats. Like, it was just like, this is the one that you want to focus on because it's the primary one for the class. In Pathfinder Second Edition, your key attributes actually give you a boost to that attribute. Now, with the upcoming Second Edition Pathfinder revision, they're not doing attribute scores anymore. It's just going to be the modifiers. So instead of a boost giving +2 to the attribute, which gives +1 to the modifier, all of your stats start, I think, at 0 by default. And then your boost will give you a +1 to that, which is just your modifier, and then a flaw would be a -1. Which is fine. Like that's like even like the Dragon Age role playing game. You roll 3d6 for attributes, and you total them up to see what your actual attribute modifier is, and that's all you ever use. Like you never write down the three numbers that you added up on the d6. It's just you use that to see what bonus it is that you're supposed to have. So I'm okay with that. It's streamlined. It's the way that the bestiaries have been done for all pretty much since the beginning of Second Edition Pathfinder. They just give you the modifier, so that's really cool. But yeah, this one uses Con, and I don't think there's too many classes that have Constitution as their key attribute, so I like that. You also get 10 plus your Constitution modifier every level, which is, again, makes sense for a fighter type, a soldier type. They are initial proficiencies. They are trained in perception. They are an expert in fortitude, trained in reflex and will. They are trained in intimidation by default by the class, which is great, and trained in a number of additional skills equal to 3 plus your intelligence modifier. Attacks, they are trained in simple weapons, martial weapons, and unarmed attacks. Defenses, they're trained in all armor, and but I don't see anything about shields, so I think it's just armor, because again, they're using like great big honking guns, so they're probably not going to have shields, which shields are usually listed separately. And they are trained in unarmored, again, which is normal, and they're trained in their soldier class DC. So, and again, proficiency bonus for trained would be 2 plus your level, so it'll be 3 out of the first level. So your level soldier advancement, you get your ancestry and background, proficiencies, attribute boosts. Then they get suppressing fire, primary target, soldier fighting styles, walking armory, soldier feat. Then at third level they get something called fearsome bulwark. general feat and skill increase. Uh, and then, yeah, so you get a few feats there, so we'll get a little bit of stuff here. The field note, designing the soldier. So this little happy little fella here. The soldier is a class that the Starfinder team wanted to make sure wasn't just the fighter in space, which is basically what the first edition one was. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like the fact that they're trying to make it feel a little bit different than just a fighter, right? Like it does fighter things, but they actually, wanted to make it feel a little different, which I think is cool. So their approach so far has been to design the soldier as a class that can absorb more damage than a fighter, with similar scaling to the champion class in terms of its defensive abilities. I'm assuming that the champion class they're referring to is from Pathfinder 2e, which is essentially the paladin. Um, Somewhat balancing out the soldier's use of Constitution as a key attribute, the soldier specializes in big two-handed guns and weapons, which means they probably aren't digging too deep into using shields and benefiting from the peak of AC. I wonder what they're going to do for armor class, actually, because in Starfinder you have kinetic armor class for physical attacks, and then energy armor class for like energy weapons like pistols or stuff that does like cold damage or acid damage or stuff like that. So I wonder what they're going to do for that. The Starfinder team really wanted to explore the design space of area weapons in Starfinder, which I think is really cool, letting them focus on the use of these weapons by a class. So I love the idea of just having a great big like chain gun type of thing, just standing in place and just doing a spray, right? The Alien role-playing game has fully automatic weapons, which basically just attack in a cone, and you can hit everything within that cone. So I'm totally down with Starfinder doing the same thing. Okay, so suppressing fire. It says you have a knack for using powerful weapons to hinder your foes and prevent them from operating at their peak. If you make an attack with a weapon that has the area trait, such as in area fire or auto fire actions, you use it in a manner that suppresses the target. Creatures in the area who fail against or fail their save against your attack. So I'm assuming that you're not making attack rolls for the area attacks. You're probably using your class DC, which makes sense. Rather than trying to make an attack roll like one for all targets or attacking each target individually. Let's see, those who fail the save against attack become suppressed. Until the end of your next turn, a suppressed target takes a -1 circumstance penalty to attack rolls and a -5 foot status penalty to speeds. So 5 foot status penalty. I should have had a pause between foot and status. New condition, suppressed. So yeah, it's just the same thing. You have been affected by a high volume of incoming fire or a particularly dangerous attack that forces you to act less efficiently for your own safety. So I like that. I hope that somehow finds its way into Pathfinder 2e because it makes sense. Like yeah, you might be able to do something that allows you to take cover from something, but there's a penalty for it. So I like that. I think that's pretty cool. Primary target. When you make an attack with an area of effect weapon, such as an area fire or auto fire actions, you can choose to make a ranged attack roll against a single creature either adjacent to the center point of the attack or the closest within a cone or line, instead of requiring that creature to make a save. If two or more creatures are closest or equidistant, you can choose which one is your primary target. Other creatures within the area of effect must save against the effect as normal. If you successfully hit your primary target, then the target is suppressed until the start of your next turn. Okay, so again, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. So you can you can if you really want to ensure that you get somebody. I like that. I like that as a feature. So, soldier fighting style. As a soldier, you applied yourself to a specific style of combat. So, we got 3 different ones here to choose from. We have Armor Storm, not to be confused with Bone Storm. So, your armor is an extension of your skin or other appropriate surface layer, and you're able to leverage it alongside the heavy weapons you employ. Foes you suppress quickly stumble while attempting to overcome your durability, granting you an edge in absorbing their incoming firepower. You likely move to the forefront, and try to focus your enemy's attention on yourself. You never count as being in the area of a ranged weapon that you've made an attack with. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So there's probably so you can rain basically fire down on yourself if you want to. Um, in addition, you gain resistance equal to half your level, minimum of one, against attacks made from suppressed targets. So again, that's pretty cool. Then there's Bombard. There's nothing like a reliable heavy gun, or maybe several different types of heavy guns, to get you through the tough times of adventuring in space. You've come to terms with the fact that your weapons might sometimes hit your allies, but work to minimize such instances of unintentional friendly fire. In fact, you've honed your skill with heavy weapons so much that all but the most indirect of strikes cause your opponents to duck down or force them to adapt to the havoc you unleash. I know some players that would absolutely benefit from that one. When you attack with an area weapon, you adjust the shot to allow allies to better avoid it. Decrease the DC by 2 for any allies who need to make a save against your area of effects. In addition, enemies who succeed but not critically succeed their saving throw against an area attack you make are still suppressed until the start of your next turn. So that one's kind of cool, but that one definitely needs some player communication, I think, before you take that one. But I do like the idea. I got to be honest. I see this one. I see Bombard. I see this one changing a little bit come the actual like playtest. So they might make it something that, or at higher levels because they're only doing 1 through 5. So there might be a higher level feat you can take that would allow you to essentially designate a certain number of allies as safe from the attack completely and not have to make saves. But I definitely see this one. It's cool, but I definitely see it changing. And then we got close quarters. So while you still have the necessary training to employ heavy weapons, you've learned that it's important to keep a backup for when foes get too close. I like to keep this one just in case, for close quarters combat. You're able to easily switch between long range and close combat, allowing you to better stand your ground when you need to, or defend your allies in a tricky situation. Blows with heavy close combat weapons punish your foes just as effectively as when you fire a roto laser or a missile launcher. So it says when you successfully make a strike with a two-handed melee weapon, you suppress the target until the start of your next turn. In addition, you gain the punitive strike reaction. So punitive strike, that is effectively just an attack of opportunity. I think they rebranded it as something different in the upcoming Pathfinder Remastered, but it's just the same thing. It's just attacks of opportunity. And then we've got Walking Armory. So you bring the heaviest armor and largest weapons to bear, but also have the capability of carrying them all and keeping up. When determining your strength threshold for using medium or heavy armor, you can instead choose to use your Constitution modifier if you already meet the strength requirement for the armor that you're wearing. So reduce the armor's bulk by 1 to a minimum of 1. In addition, increase the amount of bulk you can carry before becoming encumbered by half your con modifier rounded up. Increase your maximum bulk carried by your maximum bulk by your Constitution modifier rounded up. So I don't think that rounded up needs to be there because it's just your modifier. But again, this is something that they kind of put together quickly. But still, that's cool. Again, you get to use your con for things. Fearsome Bulwark. Your sheer mass terrifies foes. When they see you, you can use your con modifier instead of your charisma modifier on intimidation checks as a third level ability, which is great because intimidation is your guaranteed trained skill for the class, and Constitution is your primary class attribute. So that's totally cool. And then Soldier Weapon Mastery is just the same thing as regular weapon mastery in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Your proficiency rank for weapons that you are proficient in increases to expert, and then you gain access to their critical specialization effects. So, like, a weapon might have, like, knockdown or some other condition that they may impose. All right, so let's take a look at the feats here. We got a few. And, so we're going to start with number 1, Pin Down, first level feat. One action requires your last action was an attack with an area weapon. Select one creature that was in the area effect of your prior attack. That creature must make a save against your attack again. This effect deals no damage, but can inflict the suppressed condition on a target who previously saved against it. So again, that's kind of neat. It does take an action, basically, to you know, like if you do like an area thing and they make their save, but you can sort of like aim the gun back in their direction kind of thing and make them flinch. Quick swap as a level 1 feat. You're wielding a two-handed weapon and a creature moves adjacent to you. You can use your reaction to stow your current weapon and draw another two-handed weapon. If you have multiple sets of arms, you can instead choose a set to become active. So yeah, you've got like I forget the name of the race now. Is it Lashantas? No, I don't know. It's over there. I'm not going to worry about it. But there is a race that has four arms. They typically are like the Solarians. That's like one of the primary classes that they sort of go towards. And you can have multiple weapons in each hand, but yeah, you don't get to necessarily attack with them all at once. You just choose which set you're kind of using. So that's fine. And then ready reload. So requirements, you're wielding a two-handed ranged weapon with a reload of 2 or more. So that means 2 of your 3 actions would have to be to reload the weapon. And your last action this turn was an attack action that consumed ammunition from the weapon. It's one action. Reloading can be a delicate process, but you've mastered how to do it in the middle of combat. Beginning the process while still in the act of firing your weapon, you interact and reload your weapon twice. So you can basically get another shot off. So that's really cool. And then you get warning shot, and the triggers you roll for initiative. So this is kind of cool. I don't think there's a ton of stuff that interacts with initiative in this sort of way. So I do like this. This is basically a free action. So it's not like a reaction. It's just a free action is what it looks like because it doesn't have the little arrow thing. Though that may change. The requirements are you are wielding a weapon with an area or automatic trait. As combat begins, you unleash a quick volley with your weapon, forcing advancing foes to cower on approach. Make an area fire automatic fire with your weapon. Creatures in the area take no damage, but must still attempt a save to avoid becoming suppressed. So again, that's kind of cool. Menacing laughter, a level 2 feat. Your one action, your laughter or suitable war cry, can somehow be heard over the din of your weapon's fire. Attempt intimidation checks to demoralize each creature within 30 feet of you, who you suppress this turn. I like that one. Relentless endurance. The triggers you take damage once per hour. You come back stronger. You gain 1d4 temporary or 1d8 plus 4 temporary hit points that last for 10 minutes, and this increases by 1d8 plus 4 for every 4 levels you have beyond second. So at 6th level, it would be 2d8 plus 8 temporary hit points that you can just get in response to taking damage. That's pretty cool. Steady up. Requirements, you're wielding a weapon with an area or automatic trait. You brace yourself to better fire your weapon and not be easily moved. Until the start of your next turn, your next area fire or automatic fire takes 1 action instead of 2, and if you would be moved 10 feet or less by a forced movement effect, you don't move at all. Taking a later move action negates this effect. So again, that can be kind of cool. It reminds me a little bit of almost like the Dwarven Defender, like the Bastion or whatever the ability was they had, where they kind of hunker down. So it's kind of cool. And then at 4th level, we've got Overwhelming Assault. You're able to overcome the defenses of suppressed foes with repeated attacks. Your multiple attack penalty for attacks against suppressed targets is -4 or -3 with an agile weapon. On your second attack, instead of -5 or -9, and -9 or -8 with an agile weapon on your third and subsequent attack instead of -10. So that's again similar to a lot of abilities in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which mitigate some of the multiple attack penalty for classes that would like one of their benefits is that they would make multiple attacks. Punishing Salvo. So it's an action that requires your last action was a primary target strike, which I think was up here, right? Yeah, primary target. Okay, so you have to use that ability. But you can make a second strike against your primary target, ignoring the effect of the unwieldy trait that prevents additional attacks. This doesn't make a new area attack and is instead treated as just a single strike against the target made using the primary target rules. And then you got Widen Area, which is another 4th level feat. So basically just increases the area of attack. You add 5 feet to the radius of a burst and 10 feet, of a burst that has at least 10 feet, and add 5 feet to the length of a line or cone. So, again, kind of cool stuff there. Again, I don't want to read through absolutely everything here, but we are just going to take a look at a couple of things here. So we do have some updated rules. The damage lists entries, die, and type of damage deals B for bludgeoning, P for piercing, S for slashing, and some weapons also deal other damage types, A for acid, C for cold, E for electricity, F for fire, M for mental, PO for poison, and SO for sonic. And then multi-armed creatures, they can hold more items and weapons than typically expected. Performing actions with multiple pairs of arms concurrently is a challenge and can't be done without intensive training, so you must designate which of your pairs of hands are active. Um, yeah, so really cool. There's just some of the weapon traits. Again, a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory. Analog is weapon SKUs, advanced electronics, so basically like a shotgun. It's immune to effect abilities that would target technology. Then you have archaic. So this weapon is crafted using traditional methods and materials, but is not suitable for striking modern armor. All weapons from Pathfinder 2nd Edition have the archaic trait. Weapon runes is found in Pathfinder function normally with archaic weapons when a creature with non-archaic armor takes damage from an archaic weapon. That creature gains resistance 10. So basically, yeah, you got like power armor, or you have like energy fields or stuff like that, or materials that are just resistant to a lot of like attacks. So if you're using like just a sword from from Pathfinder, it's not going to be as effective as like an energy baton or something like that would be. So that's basically what that is. Then we got credits and currency. Again, a lot of the stuff is, more or less normal, but I think we do have some. Okay, we don't have any armor. I was really hoping we'd have some armor, but we do have some weapons here, and they're pretty similar to like the first edition Pathfinder. So, I'm not really going to go into it there. Energy weapons have batteries. Projectile weapons will have like magazines or clips or like traditional ammunition, that kind of stuff. And then they just got a different creature type, which are the creature stat block that is similar to just the Pathfinder Second Edition one. So again, I'm not going to go too much into that here, but it is still kind of cool to see. So yeah, there we go. That is the field test one. At least the main focus for me was the soldier class, and I really like the changes to that. I'm excited to see more, and I'm really interested to see how some of the other classes are going to change. Like I know we're still going to have mechanics and Solarians. They said 6 classes, so I'm wondering which ones may or may not make the jump. I wonder if like Technomancer and Mystic might just become like one type of spellcaster. But I'm still, like I said, I'm really interested to see how this works out. Or actually, no, the 6 classes is just for the playtest book, so it's not even the final proc. So I think it's going to be fine. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think this is really cool. I can't wait to see more of these. I do have this one saved already on my computer. And if there's anything else in this that you want me to go over in a little bit more focus, then let me know. Because, like I said, a lot of this is just how they're reformatting it to make it line up with Pathfinder Second Edition. Like again, like the creature stats and all that stuff. Although again, Pathfinder Laser Wolves, do love that. So I might consider stealing this for my Pathfinder Second Edition game. We'll see. But yeah, I think this is really cool. So I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the playtest book to come out. I really do hope though that we change. Really do hope that we change this logo because I don't like it. But that's really a nitpick, and not like something that would prevent me from enjoying the game by any means. So awesome stuff. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I am still going to wrap up my Pathfinder or Starfinder first edition like video series. I do have to talk about like some of the adventures, which is basically the last thing that I really have to do other than some accessories. So that video will be coming out soon. Pathfinder, I keep doing that, don't I? Starfinder first edition is still currently available. It's still a great game and is still worth picking up. So I'm still going to do some focusing on it, but I am stoked for second edition. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.